All right. What is going on, Haunt Nation? I'm Ant, and as you can see, on again. But that's okay. This is going to be a review for Circle of Screams for the 2023 season. T couldn't make it, unfortunately, so once again, you're getting a one-sided review, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy about it, because if he was here, they'd be just non-stop. So Circle of Screams is in the Scranton area of Pennsylvania, I believe Dixon City, like pretty much same area. It's in a drive-through movie theater. So big drive-through movie theater. Off to the side, you go. There's a hayride. There is an asylum, and then there is a woods walk. It was, I believe, $35 per person, which does include the drive-in movie, but we'll get to that. Parking is free, obviously, because it's a drive-in theater, which would be absolutely absurd if they were charging you to park your vehicle to go to their haunt, and it wasn't included. So, I have not been, or we have not been, but subsequently, I have not been, because I'm doing the review, to Circle of Screams. It's got to be in a good 8 to 10 years. So it's been a long time. As a matter of fact, I think the last time I went was when Dracula's Farce closed that same year. That's been closed for a bit too. So, I mean, if you really wanted to know what year last year I was there. Been there before, never really been great. They're celebrating their 11th anniversary, which I saw on one of their things. Really nothing to take pictures of, which if you looked at the Instagram photos, maybe you saw 2 or 3 photos. One photo of the thing that said Circle of Screams, which is just like a movie type poster that they had in glass. And then the concession stand, which is the same concession stand for the movie theater, popcorn, French fries, hamburgers, that kind of thing. And the actual big screen. I don't even know if I should bother talking about the drive-in theater experience. I mean, if you've never been, go. It's American nostalgia. Sit in your car, watch a movie on a giant screen. I mean, honestly, the farther you are away from the screen, you might as well just stay home. Because if you're far enough away, the screen looks like it's that big, so you might as well watch it on a fucking iPad. Tune your radio into a particular station, and that movie's sound is broadcast over that station. Used to be way back in the day that they had like a big sound box that you would bring in your car in your window and then roll your window up, and you'd have monodirectional audio. That was a long time ago. I know, I'm fucking old. Anyway, I'm filling this up because there's not very much to say about Circle of Screams as a haunt, and there's even less to say good about it. And it's kind of tearing at me because I really don't like taking a complete shit on any haunt. I mean, even Jason's Woods, like, that's one of my worst fucking haunts. So the last time we were at Circle of Screams, it was one of their first couple of years. I don't know if we went to the first and second, second and third, what have you. It was really new, fledgling. They have a hayride enclosed 4 sides. They have hay bales. You sit on the hay bale instead of the hay being strewn all over the place, which I guess is economical for them because then you can reuse the hay. And you start the hayride. So hayride started out, there was a big speaker. Speaker was playing music. Good mood music for the haunt. So we got up into the woods. The music was playing through what I would imagine was the first track, and then the second track, they didn't crossfade or anything. It was just like a stop and then a start, and then we were devoid of music the whole rest of the hayride. So there were about 3, 5, 7, 9, maybe 10 of us on the hayride. We got there, hayride, I thought it opened at 7, it opens at 7:30. Got there early, was on the first hayride at 7:30. Like I said, only about 10 of us. And then the hayride was silent. The woods were particularly dark, which was beautiful. Very nice, good mood. with the music, created an even better mood. The hayride is probably the slowest moving hayride I've ever been on. I mean, you could probably pass this hayride at walking speed. That's how slow, at like general. Like, I'm not even talking about power walking. I'm talking just taking a nice stroll, walking speed. So it was moving very slow. Music cut out. I figured, all right, maybe it'll come back on, or maybe it's cutting out, because as it cut out, we were pulling up to the first of the stops on the hayride. Music never came back on, so I figured they just had a technical issue. I'm not going to bang them for a technical issue. They happen. When the music was there, it sounded good. The speaker was clear. Nobody was giving us a narration or anything through the hayride. It was just ambient music. Technical difficulties happen. I get it. As we pulled up to the first and then all of the subsequent scenes along our path, they were, the word I want to use is ramshackle. I mean, we're talking home haunt level scenes. They weren't overly well built. They weren't overly decorated. I mean, there was one that was just a giant empty stage with what amounted to 2 people on it. And I'm not going to tell you what happened because we don't do that, but the same thing kept happening over and over again. Did one thing, did another thing, did something else, did that third thing, or that second thing again, and repeat. And that repeated like 10 times. So, the actors, I will say that the costuming was pretty decent for what it was out in the middle of the woods. The costuming wasn't bad. The actors, again, I'm not going to shit on them. They were doing their job. They were doing their part. They were trying. They were into it. They were trying. They just seemed unscripted. Like, nobody gave them a script to follow. Nobody gave them really an idea. So after about 30 seconds of being in their scene, and you're in that scene for 2 minutes, the rest of it just seemed kind of like that lost, awkward silence like you might have on a first date with someone you're not really compatible with. It was just quiet, kind of awkward. They didn't seem to know what to do. Nobody on the cart seemed to know what to do to make what they were confused about doing any better. And that went on for the 8 or so scenes. Again, the actors were trying hard. They were doing their job. They were into their roles. They weren't breaking character. So kudos to them. They did fine. Again, the costumes were decent. So I really don't have a problem with that. There were a lot of dead space in between the different scenes. Nobody, really in the woods or anywhere trying to give a scare that I can remember at all. And then the hayride ends. The hayride ended exactly back where it began, and then we were directed to walk up the hill a little farther to where we saw some lights, and that's where the second part takes place. Which brings me to go back to the beginning of the hayride. It's not really well defined where anything is. There's not signage, there's not lights. There's a 12-foot Home Depot skeleton over on the side, and you kind of just have to figure out where to go for the hayride. It's not defined. It's not a set area. It doesn't look like they've spent much time or effort making it a defined area, which is disappointing to me because it's been 11 years. So your first year, second year, I'm going to be a lot more lenient. I'm going to, I'm going to be more forgiving because you're starting. It takes time, it takes money, it takes effort. I get it. You're at the 10-year mark, the 11-year mark. You really should have your game stepped up at this point. Second part was the asylum. As soon as I walked into the asylum, it really looked like a badly built wooden structure that may fall down at any moment. Though the actors in there were into it, there were a couple cool scenes. A few actors in there that were really trying. I think maybe less than there were definitely less than 10 actors in the whole quote-unquote asylum. There was different things that it was the asylum was all right, but again, we're not getting past backyard haunt level here, guys. We're strictly dealing with something that could have been constructed in someone's backyard, and if their friends and their family were really into acting and trying to scare you, that's what you would have gotten. Outside of the asylum, a walk through the woods wasn't overly well delineated. There was some caution tape up in certain places to prevent you from walking that way. There were very bright LEDs on the floor at certain points that would go on and blind you as you're walking through the dark woods. And I believe there were only 2 people in the woods doing scares in that area. Maybe 3. 2 or 3. It really just very, very sparse. So basically had a nice hike, a nice short hike in the dark at night. I mean, I don't know what else to say. As far as a haunt goes, I'm going to tell you, it is home haunt level still after almost 11 years. And the fact that they're charging $35 a ticket is disgraceful for what you're getting. Your value for money is very low. The people there were working hard. God bless them. Take nothing away from them. And they're the only reason that this haunt is going to get anywhere near a halfway decent fucking number is because of the actors. I mean, other than that, I guess the drive-in movie is included with your haunt ticket. But again, this brings me to another fundamental problem, right? The whole haunt took about a half hour. We started at 7:30. We were definitely done by 8. And how do I know? Because when we were done with the haunt, the movies are all slated to start at 8 o'clock. All right? So you can't have a haunt that's going to open at 7 or 7:30 and include a movie that starts at 8 and expect anyone to be able to do both. Because the haunt also closes at 10 o'clock. So you have a haunt that opens at 7:30 and closes at 10. You have a movie that starts at 8 and is going to end somewhere between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. You can't do both. You really can't. It's just not... You can, potentially, but not if it's anywhere near even the smallest bit busy. I know we were out in about a half hour or less because I looked at the screen and it was still playing like the commercials. The movie hadn't started yet. So that means it was somewhere between, somewhere around the 8 o'clock area. They're playing commercials. I didn't even see previews, commercials. Commercials usually start before the previews. Gotta say, had enough, was done, wasn't going to stay for the movie. Decided we weren't staying for the movie beforehand. Only good thing to come out of the night is there were a couple other people on the hayride and in the haunt that were pretty funny. We wound up in a group with them. We were, barbing back and forth, joking back and forth. Had a really good repertoire between us, and it was just a fun time. And at the end, we were talking about haunts, and they had no idea who we are. So, talking about haunts, and I told them this is definitely not a good representation. Told them about a good hayride. They asked, well, where is it? So gave them Reaper's Revenge. Told them, if you want to go on a good hayride, there you go. They asked how far. It literally is 7 minutes away from Circle of Screams. They're like, oh, sounds good, we're gonna go. You want to go? And I'm like, wasn't in the plans. I was like, fuck it. And we went to Reaper's Revenge right after. So after I'm done wrapping up this video, guess what? You're going to get a fucking review for Reaper's Revenge. So, again, I'm really torn with this haunt. The more I think about it, the more mad I get about it. And I'm like really leaning towards a 3, but I'm going to go with a 4. And the only reason I'm going with a 4 is because potentially you could see a movie and do a haunt for $35, which isn't terrible, considering. But the haunt itself is just not worth your money. I'm gonna say it's probably not even worth your time, unless you want to go to a really bad haunt and you think it's fun to go to bad haunts, which sometimes it is. But we're just really bad, not well put together, no improvements since the last time that I think it might have even been fucking worse than the last time I've been there. And I don't know, just an overall disappointment. The only reason I'm going to give it a 4 and not a 3 or a 2 is because literally the actors were trying. They were really trying. They were trying hard. The costume was fine. It was appropriate for the scenes. And they really were giving it the old college try. So I'm going to leave it as a 4. Think of it more as a 3 if you want. It's getting a 4 because of the actors, and that's pretty much it for Circle of Screams. It's probably going to be another fucking 10 years before I go back to that place because I don't like pissing my money away. Anyhow, until the next video, I am Ant. This is Haunt Nation. Like, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube if you want to. If you don't, then don't. If you're watching it on Facebook, then I will try to put up some videos on the gram or on Facebook to let you guys know when new videos are up. Anyway, till next time.